tumbling down, pledging their love to the ground. Lonely but free I'll be found, drifting along with the tumbling tumbleweeds. Cares of the past are behind, nowhere to go but I'll find just where the trail will wind, drifting along with the tumbling tumbleweeds. I know when night is gone that a new world's born at dawn. I'll keep rolling along, deep in my heart is a song. Here on the range I belong, drifting along with the tumbling tumbleweeds. Tumbling down, pledging their love to the ground. Lonely but free I'll be found, drifting along with the tumbling tumbleweed. I know when night is gone that a new world's born at dawn. I'll keep rolling along, deep in my heart is a song. Here on the range I belong, drifting along with the tumbling tumbleweed.
Hey there. I don't have a whole lot to update you on, but I do have just a couple little things that I'll add at the end of the video once I get back in my garage. But right now I just kind of wanted to do something fun and talk about things I would do if I ever, like, all my dreams came true and I became filthy rich. What would I do? And there's, dozens and dozens of things I would do, but there's like a few big ones that some of them are selfish and some of them are not. So I kind of wanted to just, the first ones that really pop in my head, I wanted to go with that. And so I wanted to start off with something that's not selfish. Just, let's start off on a positive note. And that is that if I ever became like where money was no object, I would change the lives or improve the lives or fulfill the dreams of everybody who's ever touched my life in a positive way that I can find anyway, and that includes old work friends, old friends, and that also includes both of my sisters. Despite everything that I'm going through with them right now, I would definitely do everything I could to help them achieve their dreams. And when it comes to my middle sister, I mean, some people might be surprised to hear me say that, but I have this feeling I just want to teach her what she could have been like. I want to show her from my perspective, what she could have been like, what I would have done in her position throughout our entire lives, not just with this situation. And then there's a whole lot of, we're not gonna get into that. So, but anyway, that's like the very first thing I would probably do is just make sure everybody I love is okay. And then the next thing I would do is do what I've talked about previously, is I would find myself my sanctuary, my own reality, as I like to call it, and build up a piece of land to basically just become my little, my sanctuary, my paradise, my serenity. And, you know, I used to think about a long time ago, I used to have this idea that if I ever became rich, I would love to help people like myself. And I used to think about going around, and my initial idea was buying up like old hotels or motels. Those are usually they're run down or torn down at this point. I mean, how often do you see those old timey motels anymore? And I was going to like, this is if, not if money was no object. This is just, maybe I could save up a couple $100,000, but, you know, buy one of those, fix it up and get individual rooms, and then help people that like myself that are just stuck in life, that actually have good intentions, but just don't know how to navigate life essentially, or you're stuck somehow, or you think of yourself in a bad perspective and you need outside perspective to kind of help get you going again. And that was kind of like a plan I had, or a dream, not a plan, I had back when probably in my 30s or so. And I used to dream about that all the time, that maybe I could do something like that in the future. I used to think that, it would have like a food pantry, and it would have like some type of social services to help counsel people, and daycare, and like an education program, to help people, who aren't confident with certain like math or reading, or, those kinds of, just an overall place for someone to change their life essentially, that's willing to put the work into it, and has some self-awareness, is on that road to self-awareness. But now that we're talking about big money, like money is no object kind of thing, I would translate that into not only getting my own sanctuary, but that sanctuary turning into not only an animal sanctuary, but also an animal sanctuary / people sanctuary, where I could do that same idea, but in like a very idyllic setting, not in an old motel. And I could probably hire a lot more staff to really, just really do something big. But, and maybe that could be something I could do one day, but that would definitely be at the top of the list. It's always been something at the back of my mind, that if I ever became like philanthropist level, I would do something like that. Because I would have, and in addition to that, these people, they're being plucked from their lives. So you have to like make sure that they're not ruining their lives while they're going through this. So you have to pay their bills. So that would be a part of it too. I'd pay these people's bills for 6 months or whatever, just for them to rediscover themselves and figure out who they are and what they were supposed to do with their lives, their true passions. That's the path I think I'm on right now. At least I hope so. But anyway, so the next thing that's on my list, I guess that last one was selfish / non-selfish, but I guess, and the next one is too, but that one is, I want to travel the world. Like, ever since I was really young, I've always wanted to see the entire world. And it's not about, going to see the things everybody knows about. Like, I don't care if I see the Eiffel Tower. I mean, it would be great, but when I go to France, I'd prefer to see like more of the history side of things, like probably where things happened over there, like Joan of Arc and the Templar Knights, and just various historical, I'm very into like history, especially I probably know the most about Roman history and Greek history, but I'm definitely starting to creep into France and Britain and, all the other histories. But anyway, yeah, I want to travel the world, and we're not talking just Europe. I mean, the world. And I just want to get down to the nitty gritty, just the beginnings of things. I'm very interested in the beginnings of where everything started in terms of culture, like society. So I would love to go to places where just the beginning of man was, like where was the beginning of history. And that includes like, in Asia, Africa, South America. And then in terms of history, or not just history, I should say, I also, I'm interested in nature. There's just so much I want to see, scenic wise or animal wise, or just experience the aura around me of being in a certain place in the world or in the country. I mean, I want to not just the world. I want to make sure, just like my dad did. My dad had this intention when he retired. He wanted to see all 50 states, and he managed to see all of them except for Alaska. And I wanted to set that same intention that he did. I want to see all 50 states, at least after I retire and I have time, and everything's done with my mom and all that. And I definitely want to make sure I go to Alaska. And sorry, there's a barky dog over there. And I live in if you're new here, I'm so sorry about how noisy it is in my yard. But if I'm talking in my house right now, like I live with my mom and my boyfriend, and they can overhear me, and it just makes me not talk as enthusiastically as I would like to talk. And yeah, so now that I'm past that, hopefully the barky dog stops soon. It's not going to, is it? Okay. Anyway, in case I didn't finish my thought, when I do go to Alaska someday, I'm just going to talk over the dog. When I go to Alaska someday, I'm going to bring my father's ashes. My mom, she has this. My mom, she has this wish to spread my father's ashes in Alaska because it was always his wish to go there. So, sorry, interrupted again by noise. So I just stopped it. I couldn't do it anymore. Anyway, another addition I wanted to put onto that point was if I was traveling the world, there used to be, I don't know, I never subscribed to them, so I can't find them again, but there used to be this guy that every so often would come up in my algorithm that he is like one of those people that do travel logs or they travel around the world. And he did one video where he was I think it was in India somewhere, or one of the surrounding countries of India. And he came across this one sole guy who had this little tea stand in the middle of nowhere. And it was his little enterprise, his little business. And he went in there and he was just talking to the guy, asking him all these questions about his business, blah, blah, blah. And long story short, by the end of the video, he gave this guy, like, I don't know how much money it was, but to the guy he was giving it to, he seemed to be thinking it was an intense amount of money. But anyway, he just sat there and talked to the guy, felt him up and felt out his circumstances, saw how eager he was and how much he wanted to do what he was doing, and could tell, just from a conversation, you can tell that the guy had a kind soul. So he wanted to help him out, and I know that was for clicks or, views, whatever you want to call it. That's probably how he makes his money, by going around. There's people that do that. They go around and just make people's days by filming it and then giving them money and make money doing that, which, win-win, I suppose. But that is something I would like to do, not necessarily document it, but go around and just change people's lives, Just, I have such a philanthropist, gosh, well, let's just pretend I said it, spirit. And hopefully someday I can follow through on that. We'll see. Keep pushing, right? It's not going to be stained glass, but maybe stained glass will lead to whatever's next. What? I can't win. Anyway, fourth one. I wrote a little list. I'm cheating. Fourth one is, if I do get this sanctuary, this piece of land, there's going to be a house on it, right? I hate this dog. I hope it goes away, please. All right. I think it's like it's waiting for me to talk. All right, I'm just going to have to push through it again if it barks again. Oh, good, it's further away. Anyway, so the fourth thing I was trying to get to was a house, right? If I have a piece of land, then I'm definitely going to have a house. Now, whenever I've dreamt of a house. Like, let's say that, like I said, money is no object. I'm rich beyond my wildest dreams. The house I've already always dreamt of. What's on there? Let's make sure that doesn't. Yeah, nothing important. Anyway, the house I always dreamed of would be like, think of, what's her name? Annie Winchester. You remember the lady who was famous for like keeping putting at she just built her house for like ever, but not that extreme. Like, I would love to have a house that's got like tons of weird rooms with weird like secret entrances into them, like behind the walls, like the movie Clue, where sorry, or and then for aesthetic, gosh, I am just in so many different directions when it comes to that. I'm not going to try to say it twice. And think of Harry Potter meets Willy Wonka meets like fairy enchantress foresty stuff. Wow, yeah. So I'm very, I guess if I was born in the 60s, I'm very bohemian 60s, or not 60s, hippie, in terms of if I ever had a style. Like right now, I have like literally no style because I'm broke all the time. So I can't really express myself. But if I had a style, that's the direction I like. If I had like my outside garden around my house, it would look like a fairy garden, basically. I would have like little fairy lights out there and this cool little statues that looks like there's little gnomes and fairies and little houses, like things peeking out of the trees. Like that's like my dream garden in my backyard. So anyway, yes, the house. And I think I had one more. I want to make sure. Okay, sorry, another chaotic edit, but I had to stop because my boyfriend, he had woken up and I needed to get inside. Long story short, he works nights and I try to spend as much time as I can with him when he's awake during the daytime. So anyway, I did have one more thing on my list. And this one's, I don't know, I would consider it kind of selfish. And that is, if money was no object, I would find the most reputable, fancy dancy, wait for that car, memory care center or assisted living, whatever you want to call it, to help with, to place my mother. And it would have to be, like basically where rich people put their relatives. I'm not going to ever put my mom into one of those until the bitter point where I just can't handle it anymore. Just because of her financial situation, she wouldn't be able to afford anything remotely, anything nice. It would be government funded, if government funded is still a thing when when it gets to that point. So yeah, that's what my last thing on my list was. But there were a couple things for people that regularly view my channel. I just wanted to kind of give you an update on. Over the weekend, I was talking about I wanted to surprise Will with kind of like an anniversary dinner. Sorry, my neighbors are going in and out, so it's very distracting. Anyway, and I had planned on making deep dish Chicago-style pizza and baklava, and both of which I did make, but I did not film like literally anything except for like when they were done, when I pulled them out of the oven, because I ended up procrastinating the entire day until I had almost no time left to accomplish these two major tasks in one day. So I just had to like put my, this is something me and my sister used to call when we used to have to clean our rooms and we didn't want to, and we used to procrastinate. We'd call it race car cleaning, just get it done, as fast as quickly as possible with. So that's what I did, and I pulled it off. I mean, it wasn't like masterpiece level at all, but he definitely was surprised. He definitely loved every bite of both of those things. He brought the leftover baklava to work and shared it with everybody at work, and they all loved it. So now I got to be providing a constant supply of it until I don't know what. It's kind of surprising how many people have never even heard of baklava. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just, I don't know. But anyway, yeah. So I did have one more thing I wanted to tell you about, and of course I left it in the house. So I will pause this and be right back. Okay, back. So, last thing before I go, unless something else pops in my head, I have everything I need except for I'm waiting for a set of drill bits to come to make the owl that I was speaking about recently. It might have been my last video. I don't even know where I'm at this point. But I'm holding off on the owls for now. It's not... I want to wait for those drill bits to get here. They're a different set of drill bits. I already bought a 52 set, the one I was speaking about earlier. It wasn't just one drill bit. It was like a set of them, 52 of them. But it doesn't have... When I was watching a video to learn how to drill through glass and make circles, the guy who was demonstrating had a completely different drill bit, which was shaped like a circle. And he showed a whole technique of how to do it, and he put a link recommending, where to buy it. And and it was only $8 to get a set of like different size circles. This is my problem. I never fully research things. I just buy whatever I find first. But anyway, yeah, I'm waiting for that to get here. It's not going to get here till May 8th, according to the shipping information. So in between then, I've come up with a plan. So Mother's Day is coming up soon. So I'm thinking, I don't really want to do any flowers or, and nothing that's going to take me more than a very, like bunny. I want bunny level right now. And so I came up with my own design. It's really rudimentary, but it's just... All right, first of all, we're starting off with a heart, right? Just your basic average, everybody knows this symbol, right? And then I'm using different color schemes. This is only, my very first one, and I wish I had sunlight now. I should have shown it to you earlier today, duh. You'll see it later, but it's different shades of green, essentially, and then there's like a amber in the middle. But I'm going to make like different color schemes, different patterns, not just stripes, of hearts for the next several days, as many as I can make. And then at the end of the weekend, I'm just going to go on a listing bonanza, and I want to warn you that in between now and then, very little video activity possibly, unless something crazy happens or I just get really like creative one day. I really want to put all of my focused efforts into making as many of these hearts as I can, and then experimenting and putting them online. So yeah, that's my next idea. And then after that's done, cross my fingers they like sell, then I can do the owl or make more hearts. I don't know, we'll see what it I don't know what's gonna, yes. Anyway, yeah. Let me make sure. Is there anything else going on that I'm forgetting about? I don't think so. Once again, just thank you to everyone who comments on my videos, who subscribes to my channel, who likes my videos. If you comment on my videos, I mean, it really helps get it going in the algorithm so other people can come in here. So please don't feel like you're overwhelming me by commenting on my videos. Not to mention, I love reading them, no matter what you have, even if you have to say hi, I'm completely cool with that, And I'm sorry I say a lot. I've realized, all right, I'll make a whole nother video about this. I'm just gonna love you. I love all of you, and I will try and get you out something soon, even if it's just a simple little me out here talking, okay? Adios.